We're approaching draft season for fantasy football, and training camp is hot and heavy. A lot of these teams got the pads on. They're popping. Guys are getting hurt. Guys are exceeding expectations. Guys are going under the radar. Today, we're going to look at some training camp news. We're going to look at some players who have been popping off or just popping and fizzling at training camp, looking at their draft values, looking at what we should do with them in fantasy football. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're talking fantasy every day, whether it's Dynasty Redraft, we're getting you ready for your drafts. We're looking at training camp every day. We're looking at the clips. If anybody knows about training camp and what's going on from team to team, it's going to be me. And I'm inserting that with fantasy values. I'm looking at the drafts. We're looking at strategies. So much is here and it's free. And all you got to do is tap in every other day, watch a couple videos a la carte style, and you're good to go. Click that subscribe button. Don't miss out. Waiver wire, deeper leagues, this is the channel to be at. But Will Shipley is getting first team reps around the red zone. That blew up Twitter yesterday. And we said this during draft season, or after the draft, really, more like rookie draft season, that Will Shipley's value is tethered to Saquon Barkley's health. Saquon Barkley has a history of missing games. And if he does miss some time, maybe it's 1 game, maybe it's 3 games. His value is going to increase in all formats. He'd be a huge waiver wire pickup. He would also be a big stash in Dynasty and possibly a sell if you want out or just enjoying the production, whatever you want to do. But again, first team touches already in the news for Will Shipley. I take that with a grain of salt. I'm watching more touches, more news from him in training camp. But again, Will Shipley needs to be on your radar. A UDFA, an underdog. Some people are picking him up. Last picks of the draft. He's going to start getting drafted soon. He will have his ADP draftable sooner than later, and we're going to hear more about him as he asserts himself as the RB2 on this team. If he starts getting touches in season in your basic redraft league, you're going to be running to the waiver wire. If you got Saquon Barkley and you want to throw a dart with one of your last picks, say you got a 16-round league, 17, 18-rounder, 14's a little hard to do. Maybe you do that. He is a rookie. He does have some pop-off speed, good between the tackles, good in the passing game. But more than likely, you're going to look at him off waivers. There's a lot going on with Daniel Jones right now, and it's not looking good at some times. There are some practices he starts off rough, completing like 3 out of 10 passes. And then all of a sudden, it kicks into gear when he starts connecting with Malik Neighbors. And this has happened multiple times already. Daniel Jones is on the radar flopping this season. Round 16 draft pick on Underdog. People are really 1 foot in, 1 foot out on him because he can be productive for fantasy. However, for real football terms, he is a hot potato right now. You do not know when you're going to want to throw him. We're coming back from the ACL. That part looks okay, but there are some throws. There are multiple throws that are off the mark in training camp. He is not looking great. All he has to do is sling it to Malik Neighbors a good 15 times a game, and he will improve vastly. Daniel Jones can't mess this up. He has to target his target hog, but if he's not up to par, you may want to think about Drew Lock. So if you're in a deeper league, super flex, you may want to scoop him up. If you're in a deeper dynasty, super flex, you may want to look at Lock. You may want to look at the backup here in New York because you got Malik Neighbors. All that quarterback has to do to hold any fantasy value is spam him with targets. Maybe that could happen. In redraft, he has the potential to give you production. It's probably going to be spotty, and he might be losing his job if this continues. Jalen McMillan is on a roll. Like I've been talking about him recently, but he's still making plays in camp. Like I talked about him yesterday, but he made even more plays yesterday. We're going to talk about him some more. We're going to go over more clips of Jalen McMillan, and he's starting to get a highlight package. The 3rd round pick that kind of went under the radar is getting a lot of opportunity here in Tampa Bay. It's going to be hard for fantasy production, but on top of that, you got 2 older wide receivers who you're playing with. You're looking good on the field. Godwin's going back to the slot. That's a rumor. That's news. However you want to interpret that. I take it as rumor because I want to see it on the field first. But when he is in the slot, it's usually around 70+% of the time. I've said that a million times. I'm talking about McMillan. I'm talking about Godwin. That means the third wide receiver has to be on the field. Probably is going to be Jalen McMillan. We got good size, just athleticism. Very nuanced route runner with good hands. This guy can create separation. And 16th round draft capital on underdog. A good dart throw if you're throwing darts at wide receivers late in the draft. George Pickens, wide receiver 28, round 4 draft capital. He's making play after play after play after play. He's looking good with Justin Fields. He's getting downfield. We might be getting an alpha target share here, 25 to 30%. What does that look like with an Arthur Smith offense? Because it's going to be slower pace. That could be looking like 6 targets a game. That could be looking like that. It could be comparable to what we saw last year. Maybe more spike weeks. Maybe a better floor when it comes to his production. I expect him to be better than 13 fantasy points per game in this offense if Justin Fields is cooking. One of the other reasons why is Roman Wilson came out with an injury. He's going to be out for some time. He has an ankle injury. Expect his fantasy draft stock to plummet a little bit. He's being valued as a round 15 upside flyer. I look for George Pickens to get a lot of targets in this offense. Don't look at last year's production too much because no matter who starts at quarterback, we're getting an upgrade at the quarterback position. Better targets downfield. It's going to allow him to really rise up and make plays. Roman Wilson, if you're looking to buy low on him, now might be the time. He is a young player, should bounce back. And on top of that, he's going to be even cheaper. But in regular basic redraft leagues, probably going to be waiver wire fodder off and on throughout the season until he's more established. But Russell Wilson, coming back from a calf injury, starting to practice, gotta monitor him. Justin Fields is looking good. We do have a legit camp battle right now. It's been questioned throughout the offseason, and I was saying, hey, this is going to be a camp battle all along throughout training camp. The calf issue is becoming an issue. I saw a clip, and I'm trying to refine that of him jogging. Looked like he put on a little bit of weight. Not much. Not much. But when you're late in your career, when you're coming back from an injury, that might impact you from competing optimally at training camp versus a young quarterback here that's been playing well. Russell Wilson has to get in gear. Russell Wilson has to show out, and maybe he's doing that right now, and by the time this video is posted, he's playing well. But QB 31 draft value, an underdog, cheap dart throw nonetheless, probably will be no matter what. Audric Estime has been running over faces. He's got some Marshawn Lynch in him, running over dudes. He's very aggressive, very assertive. Audric Estime, he's going to get his time. It's going to happen. I don't know when. Week 1, Week 8, next year, Week 13. Keep an eye on him. You're probably going to pick him up off waivers sometime this year. J.K. Dobbins. Are we sleeping on him? Because whenever the media gets the opportunity, they will talk about J.K. Dobbins. And when you watch his clips, he's not as fast or as quick as what he used to be, obviously, but he does have a little bit of pop in his step. And he's going in the range of drafts where upside flyer territory is okay. Round 14, double-digit rounds. Basic redraft leagues might be going undrafted. And he's getting some opportunity here. And he's playing with Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards, injury front, similar but different, of course, because they're injuries. J.K. Dobbins might re-earn a starting role, might re-earn touches, might get some work, might get injured again, might be nothing. But when you look at the price tag here, double-digit rounds, mixed in with other running backs who are just upside flyers, really, you got to think about him. And a Harbaugh offense, too, that's going to prioritize the run game, slow down the pace a little bit, showing their hand, getting Gus Edwards, getting J.K. Dobbins, his brother's old running backs. So during Thanksgiving or Christmas at the dinner table, they were talking about their players, talking about free agency and what they want to do. He had the inside scoop, and he brought in both backs. Likes them both. That being said, I like Vital too. I like them all. Pay attention in training camp. Rome Odunze is blowing up. Had some more big plays yesterday. and is continuing to grow. And on top of that, you're getting a Malik Neighbors, you're getting a Marvin Harrison Jr. type talent, round 6. However, the depth chart's a little bit more logjam. DJ Moore just got paid a little bit. And on top of that, you got Keenan Allen. But they're at least going to be in 3 wide receiver sets, 70% of the time, possibly more, maybe like 75 to 80%. He's going to be on the outside. He's going to be pushing it deep. We got a good report of Caleb Williams. Round 6 draft capital with this upside, with this good size-adjusted athleticism and good route running, is a good bet to make. Kendre Miller's been hurt. He's been missing practices. They said in the media that he's got to learn to stay healthy. We're in year 2. We have okay draft capital, but not enough to have tremendous sunk costs. This could be a big issue if we're missing games this year. This could cause the team to go back to the running back well in the draft or free agency. This is something to monitor for Dynasty. Also something to pay attention to for redraft. Double-digit draft capital might be too much, but he's still a flyer, something to look at. But I would want him a little bit cheaper right now, considering he's missing time. Could be a guy you pluck off waivers in the middle of the season. Greg Dortch is going off again. You're hearing news about him. You're hearing good reports. I expect him to have a few good games this season. I expect him to have volatile production. I expect him to be a player you're getting off waivers somewhere down the line. I don't expect you to draft him. After all, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride probably going to soak up 50% of the targets. Some targets are going to go to the running backs. Michael Wilson's going to be getting targets as well. I like Michael Wilson, so throw him in there too. Keep an eye on these ancillary pass catchers, as they could be diamonds in the rough. In certain weeks this season, you might be chasing them on waivers, but Greg Dortch is heating up right now in camp, and that's what the reports are saying. We talked about a bunch of players today. A lot of players are doing some good things. Some players are busting on the field, but we still got some more time in training camp for things to unfold and unravel. We'll have more videos out as promised. More tomorrow, more the next day, more today, to keep you in the loop of what's going on, the player values, and everything else. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.